Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sadashiva Shamarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Ashmadacharya Paryandam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Sakhanavavadu, Sakhanapunaktu, Sakaviryam Karvavahai, Tejas Vina Vadidamastma Vishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Vasudevendra Yogindram, Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum, Mukshuna Vidarthaya, Tattvabodha Vidyate. Good morning. So we are contemplating on the Swarupa Lakshana of Atma. So I will just recap what we learned together last session so that we can get back into the groove. This kind of Atma Vicharam, Atma Chintana, inquiring about the self is a very rare feature. It doesn't happen to everybody very easily. We have 7 billion population. Imagine how many of them are thinking about this at this stage. It will always be rare. Vedanta Vicharam happens when we have earned the merits of listening to that. Same is Bhagavad Gita. You know, in Bhagavad Gita, every chapter we finish, we say, Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyana Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. Here Om Tat Sat. Bhagavan is going to elaborate this in the 17th chapter. Tat Sat. The Sat is Atma. Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Mat means having, possessing. Shri is, as you know, Shri is all the prosperity, wealth. But Shri also means Veda. Sagi, Shrigi says Veda. Sagas, all the Vedas are Shri. So that which contains the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita Su, Upanishatsu, what is in the Upanishad, which is Brahma Vidyana. So the Brahma Vidya is also about the Brahman, is also about Atma. Brahman is also Atma. One definition is in the first word, Tat Sat, Sat. It's not only Bhagavad Gita defines, explains what is Atma. What's the point of just knowing it if you're not really experiencing it? To experience it, you need to have a proper quality in your body and mind and intellect. That is called Yoga Sutra, Yoga Sastra. That's why it says Yoga Sastra. So showing the Atma, that's the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Jnanam Vedantam is Bhagavad Gita. It also shows you how to equip yourself to do that through the Samvada. Samvada means the conversation. So what I'm saying is to think about Atma, hear about Atma, the interest to come and listen to the Satsangam. You know, in Satsangam also it's the word Sat, about Atma. It is a very privileged position to be in. So we are all blessed to therefore to be in this discourse, in the conversation. So the disciple asks the question, Atma Tarkika. So what else is Atma? He says, Satchidananda Swarupaha. Sat kim kalatrayebi tishtati sat. Chit kim jnana swarupaha. Ananda kaha sukha swarupaha. Evam Satchidananda Swarupam Swatmanam Vijaniyat. So Sat, Chit, Anandam, the teacher says, this is Evam, this alone is your Swarupam, that is you. Swatmanam Vijaniyat. This you must understand. So now we are given some words. Then what we did, we went back to the Upanishads. We took the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Brahmananda Valli, the most beautiful description of the Brahman. So whenever I say Brahman, Atma, everything is same. It's a bit frightening because we were talking about Atma means the self, understanding about who I am, but we are just mixing with the same definition to Brahman. So it is dangerously taking us to a paradox that therefore I am Brahman, which right now we are not at all in a mindset to accept. But that is set aside. So we saw that Taittiriya Upanishad gave a definition, or definition, Sutra Vakya. It says, Brahmavit apnoti param. It says Sutra Vakya. Just remember that. We have to remember this because we will talk about the Yoga Sutra later. A Sutra Vakya is a compacted sentence which gives you the subject, the Vishaya, the Prayojanam, the use of the Vishaya, and how do you attain that? Sadhana. So, Brahmavit apnoti param. Param is a supremeness, supreme freedom, fulfillment, is a Prayojanam. It is attained by knowing the Brahman. Therefore, we ask the question, okay, you are now giving a new word. Kim tat Brahman? What is this Brahman? Kim tat param? What is this param? How am I going to do it? Kadam tas vedanam. So we asked 3 questions to the teacher. The teacher therefore said, okay, the Sutra Vakyam is not good enough for you. I will do a Vritti Vakyam. Vritti is expanding the definition. If Sutra is abbreviation, WHO is Sutra, World Health Organization is a Vritti. So he gives a Vritti Vakyam, and to give some authenticity, he brings from the Rigveda mantra. So he says, Tadesha Yukta Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. So this is a definition of Kim Tat Brahma. What is Brahma? Yo Veda Nikidam Guhayam Paramevyanam. So that you have to look in your cavity of your heart, within yourself. Again, you see the paradox. Here the context is knowing the Brahman, the Supreme God. The teacher says, look into your heart. In Tattvabodha, you're looking for Atma, look into your heart. Therefore, that I am seeking, the Brahman, and this Atma that I am seeking are in the same place. So we don't know how to do it, but if we know the location now, it can be in the, can I not go into the temple and ask for it, look for it? Of course you can do it. Which is called Garbhagraham. It's inside the cavity of the temple's holy room. It is the God there. Also hidden, the screen is hidden, it is always dark. Suddenly they show this Deeparthana, the light comes in, then it goes away. So the Guham that we know, Guhyam we know. Then the Prayojanam, Yoveda Nikidam Guhayam. So Shnude Sarvan Kam Saha. Shnude Sarvan Kaman Saha. Sarva Kaman. All the desires that you have are fulfilled. So this we saw. Okay, this is a bit assuring because the Upanishads say the same thing, the Vedas say the same thing. Therefore, now I must go back to the Sutra Vakya. So then we look at the Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. So this is the Sutra Vakya that we need to understand. Then we said to understand this, we need some tools. In Vedanta, the mathematical formula are not used. The Sutra Vakyas are used. To resolve those complex equations, we need a clarity of words and thoughts. So we need some tools. So the first one, we look at it. What are these words together? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Are they qualifying the Brahman or defining them? Qualification is adjectives, Visheshana. Whereas definition is Lakshana. So we said, no, this is Lakshana, the very definition of the Brahman. You always keep in the mind, the Vedas already said, Brahman is indescribable, nirvachaniyam. But yet it is giving us this definition so that we are able to somehow navigate towards our goal. So then we took a side step. This is where I think I stopped. Let us understand what is Lakshana. So we will have three kinds of Lakshana. So first one is called Vyavartaka Lakshana. That means, Artha means differentiating. Vyavartaka. So that is, it is different. It is not this. So I gave an example of, I want to find the house of my friend. And I asked the way. And somebody is telling me, okay, it is not the blue house, not the red house, not the 5-story house, not a hut. Go and find out. So if the definition is given, this is not adjective, this is definition, but it's a Vyavartaka Lakshana. By defining by exception. So I go and look for everything and discard them. So it is a filter. So this is one way of knowing things. Don't worry about these buzzwords because all this is common sense. But Vedanta likes to define them so that I use these words. We already gone through this. For example, when we did this Sarira Atitaka, we are not the body, we are not the experience, we are not that, we are not this. Anatma Vicharam is Vyavartaka Lakshana. We've gone through that. But we want something better. So there is another kind of Lakshana called Tatastha Lakshana. Tatastha Lakshana means you give a positive definition, but the indicator that you give is not part of the definition itself. The word Tata means the shore, the bank. So if you take a river, that is the Thames River, I show the shore of the Thames River. Then you go there. So in this example, what you say, okay, when you go to the street, you see that there is a postman delivering letter. That house is the house that you need to go. So therefore, I look at the postman, I see the house that he is there, I go towards that house. But when I go to the house, the postman would have gone. He is not there anymore. He's not part of the house. That is also useful. And it is very useful in Vedanta. We are going to use this Tatastha Lakshanam so much because it is, in this example, you can't see the house, but you can see the postman. So the guide is telling you, look at the postman and go after him. Of course, you will not go after him every house he goes because the context is that house where he is standing. So therefore, in the Paramatma Vicharam also, we are going to worship the world, worship the God, worship the Saguna Brahman, worship the temple, worship the Vigraha. All this is Tatastha Lakshana. That's why, when you go to the temple, you go to Tirupati or wherever you take a yatra and the Deeparthana is showing, you close your eyes. What's the point? You come all the way, you're not watching the God. Because in the heart of heart, that Vigraham is not God. It is Tatastha Lakshana. It is inside. So we have to have this Tattva selection, because when you understand the impossibility of learning about Brahman or yourself, leads to a second mode of learning. Give me a positive indicator, I can hold on to it. So that's the second one. Here it is Swarupa Lakshanam, because it says Atma Swarupaka Satyam Jnanam Anantam. The Swarupa Lakshanam is nothing about exception, nothing about indicator, very much that same thing. Okay. Raj's house is that house with a white painting, with a golden gate or whatever. Therefore, I just take that house and go there. I know when I go there, I will find it. It's a Swarupam. It will not go. It will not change. It's very important. So you see the difference now. You look for something by discarding what it is not something, yourself now. So we are not look for ourselves. We look for ourselves what I am not. We've gone through this. I'm not the body, Panchakosa and all that. Look for myself, Tadastha Lakshana, my prajna, my mind, my experiences. I'm going to hold on to it. And then I will end up in my Swarupa. So that's the exercise we do. So therefore, two things you must remember. In the Tadastha Lakshana, you will not see the indicator when you reach it. This is the reason in Advaita Vedanta we say, Jagat Mithya. Everything is Mithya, everything disappears once you reach that God. It does not mean they are physically gone away from you, because in the physical world they are there. But they are out of your consciousness. That is not anymore your focus. It's all gone. But the Swarupam just stays there. Okay, this is a tool set that now I have given you. So you have this Lakshana Vicharam, you know what Lakshanam to use. Therefore, when we understand the word Satyam Jnanam Anandam, we will use this Lakshana. We know that it's a Swarupa Lakshana. Therefore, we apply the corresponding mechanics to understand it. Okay. Now we go and try to understand. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. So there are three words given. There must be a purpose for giving the three words, because all three mutually balance each other to give a better definition of Brahman. But equally, each one should be defining the Brahman. Therefore, I might also say Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anantam Brahma. You can say Satyam Atma, Jnanam Atma, Anantam Atma. You can say Aham Satyam, Aham Jnanam, Aham Anantam at some stage. So we must take one at a time. But we may have to have one more tool to make it better. Because now we are focusing on a sentence or a phrase, Satyam Brahma, for example. And there are two words. And we are focusing on the word Satyam right now. So we must understand the meaning of this word. So how do we find the meaning of the word? It's called Padartha. Padam means that word, a word. Artha means the meaning. You know, when we say this, whenever we finish a mantram or a japam, we say Om Tat Sat. The sentence I just quoted from the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu, this comes in every chapter and is called a Purti Vakya, completing that chapter. And there the Bhagavan says Om Tat Sat. what the learned say, the reason why we say that, because when we read this, or when we learn, when we recite, or when we hear, the padams and the padarthams, the word and the word meaning, might have been wrongly understood, wrongly pronounced, misrepresented. So you need to take exception to this. So you ask for forgiveness, that may my vakya pata artha anacharam be gone away. So that's the kind of a thing. Anyway, it's a sideline. So what am I saying? Padartham. So your padam must have an artham. Otherwise it is shabdam, is it not? If I just make kaki, ku, kai, ka, something like that, it doesn't make any sense to you. But then why do you have that noise? Well, it may not make sense to you, but it may make an effect on you. If I keep shouting at you with meaningless words on it, it may upset you. Or if I just do an alap, or somebody who sings can do an alap which has no meaning, it may just resonate and make you a lullaby. That's why in mantras you have bijaksharas which have no meaning, but they give you a positive effect on it. So padam by itself, every shabdam itself is very effective. But here we are about knowledge, so we need artha. So we need to have the meaning of the words. So every word has got a vachyartha. So all this, it's all simple things, but I just wanted to bring it to context. Vachyartha is what I call mukhyartha, literal meaning. Computer, you know what computer is. Apple, you know what Apple is. Go, you know what it is. Ask me to go. Eat means to eat. So it is straightforward Vakyartha. This is what we should always apply when we interpret anybody's text. But if you just stop there, you'll have a problem. So if suppose I say, this person has completely digested Bhagavad Gita. If somebody says that, so this person I know, Vachyartha, Bhagavad Gita I know, maybe this book, digested. Then I say, completely eaten and swallowed it. It doesn't make sense. This is again all comes very naturally for us because we have learned all those things. So we need to have something beyond this Mukhyartha. What is that? We call it Lakshyartha. What is the purpose of saying the statement? So here, he digested Bhagavad Gita means he has learned, assimilated, internalized, mastered it. So we put that meaning to that, automatically we do it. But it is becoming very difficult when you read a text which is A, a different language, which we are not familiar with. B, it is very esoteric in nature. It gives you very intense insight into spiritual progress. It may be pregnant with very philosophical content, tattvarthas. Therefore, we need to have certain discipline, certain understanding, certain guidance for it. So we look at the Lakshyartha now. Again, I would say, without going too much detail into this mechanics of it, three things. Jagat Lakshana or Jagat Lakshana means you completely reject the direct meaning. Yeah. So you know what it is. You completely reject it. For example, I lived on Thames. So I lived on Thames. I know Thames is a river. How can I live on Thames? It's impossible. So the meaning of river for the word Thames is rejected. You will therefore take, I lived on the shore of the Thames, the banks of the Thames. So the direct meaning is giving you It is a transporter of a message to you, but you discard that word, the word meaning, and put in a new meaning based on what else is there in this. Okay. The second part is the opposite of it. Ajaga Lakshana. It's kind of complementing it. So you don't discard it completely. You make a better meaning of it. The common example is the red is running. So you are in a race course, you say red is running. The white is winning. So here you give a qualification of the horse that you're seeing. It's a white color horse. White is winning. So here you're using a part of that meaning, attribute of that horse, but you take that one. As I said, don't worry about too much about it, but you would see why I'm building this thing, so that you will have a convincing way of understanding the explanation. The third one is called Jaha Ajaha Lakshana. We combine it, but we don't take completely. We just drop something off. It's also called Bhagatyaga Lakshana. So I say, I drank a cup of milk this morning, you say. Very straightforward here. But I'll say, cup of milk means a cup and a milk. So if I drink means, do I drink the cup also? No, I only drink the milk. So you, or I think the most famous example, which is useful for Vedanta as well. For this Ramesh is that Ramesh. Or if you're talking about Ramesh, you and I are talking about Ramesh, I don't even need to say Ramesh. This is that. What is this? Nobody will understand. But the two people who are conversing about the whereabouts of Ramesh, or identity of Ramesh, knows this. This Ramesh, that means somebody is nearby, is that Ramesh. So you took the intended meaning of it, but you discard the time, location, space, everything. See, again, the Vachyartha will not give any meaning of it. This is that. You know very well in your mind what I am driving this to. Tattvamasi. You are that. That you. So when you want to go and understand those sentences, you have to apply this kind of a Vyakarna logic. So now you know two things. You know about the Lakshanas, Padarthas. So now we go to the text proper. Satyam Brahma, Jnanam Brahma, Anantam Brahma. Well, when we discuss this, you can either imagining the Brahman is the supreme God, or your Ishta Devata, your Vishnu, Shiva, whoever you want to think, you want to reach, understand, or as a typical Vedantic student, understanding yourself. So let us take the first one. Maybe we take the Anantam Brahma first. Okay. Bhagatyaga Lakshana. Anantam. So Antam means the end. Anantam means endless, limitless. So what is limitless? It is immediately tells me that this cannot be a Swarupa Lakshana of me. I'll be gone after some time from this world. So I'm limited. That's what we all think. Or anything I see cannot be Anantam. Everything is ending. Therefore, what does the Anantam convey? So a limitation of anything can be in three ways. First one, it can be limited by time. So if I am at 10 o'clock talking to you, 10 o'clock, I cannot be swimming in a swimming pool. Something exists in a time present, doesn't exist tomorrow. Or something which came yesterday, lived for 20 years, and then it decays and goes away. The time span may be expanding it. It may be 1 year for an insect, maybe 20 years for a pet, maybe it's for 100 years or 120 years for a human being, maybe 1,000 years for a tapasvi. It still ends. So parichinnam means limit, aparichinnam means unlimited. In Lalita Sahasranam comes it, Deshakala aparichinna. So when time is not limiting, Brahma means space is also not limiting. See, the time and space, at least time you can understand because it's a vector quantity. You know that we have somehow figured it out for our own convenience. Time is always going in one direction. It is quantifiable. You can measure it. It's all imagination. We made that. But space is a little bit difficult thing. I'm not going to get detail into this because we'll have time to discuss it again in some stage. But science is also messing around with this for a long time. In a Newtonian time period, they said, time and space sorted out. Time is a vector quantity, goes in one direction, never returns back, always stable, perfect in all time. Therefore, when I use the time equation and build a model for the world, I can predict what will happen in 5,000 years. No problem, anywhere in the world. The Newtonian physics and classical physics had that model. And then came a rishi called Einstein. He threw a spanner at it. No, the time is not by itself, it is with the space. Because people have thought space also filled with some very minute quality matter, like called ether or something. So everything is filled up. So the whole thing has been blown away, and also even now some illusionists within the physics community believes space is filled with what's called Higgins particles and so on and so forth. They're trying to find out that. But Einstein said, no, the space and time are the same thing. Space is, for example, I am here. I am not in your house. I am limited. Yes, an object cannot be in two different places at the same time. So space means akasha. Avakashaka means space. Forgive my lack of proper word in English. Avakashaka means giving space, and that is space. So the space is limited. How can you be beyond the space? How can anything be beyond the space? Is it not space contains everything? Now the thing is changing in a it's called a quantum loop theory, M theory, string theory. A lot of theories are there. They started talking about now. After all, space is everything. Space is not containing anything. It's not a space and there is something inside, a pot and there is a coin inside. No. What is inside also space. Sounds Vedantic, right? This is science. So let's not go too much into this. So what I'm saying is, here the definition is something beyond the space, something beyond the time. Your inquisitive mind is asking, how do you prove it? Do I take it do I believe it? You see, you always know this rule in Vedanta. Belief is not a bad thing. if you really look at it in life, you come to this class with the belief there is some prayojanam on this, is it not? I may disappoint you, that's a different matter. So, believing to understand is this Shraddha. Understanding to believe is jnana. Because what will happen if you understand more and more, once you know it, you don't need any proof, you just believe in it. Do you want a proof for 2 times 2 is 4? No, it is belief. Done. You built on it. So all our questions will be stopped. Even the very word Atma, the root word of Atma, there are a lot of ways you can analyze it. I was just discussing that with somebody last week. Ati means to eat, to consume, to swallow. Ati hi Atma. Whatever that consumes you completely. Paramatma is one who swallows everything else. Atma is swallow everything else. That means, does it mean death? No. If I am Atma, I am the swallower. How do you prove it? The proof in Vedanta is Sushupti. In a deep sleep, what happens to you? Where is time? Where is space? You are not in space. The sleep, everything is gone. Ati, you swallowed everything. The Atma swallowed everything. So therefore, Anantam means that which is beyond the time, beyond the space. You must have some hope of or joy, because if I am going to be proving to myself that I am the Atma, I'll be Anantam, not that sleeping, ignorant identity, but something beyond that. I'll be timeless. I'll be beyond the space. So I am not in the space. Space is in me. One way to look at it is that time exists between 2 thoughts. Not a perfect definition, but Tadastha Lakshana. You can hold on to it to get something better. So when I think of something, when I think of the next thing, there's a time. When I am thinking something and I'm completely engrossed in the thing, there's no time. When you finish that time, when you finish the thought, then there is a time for you. Therefore, so what happened between these 2 thoughts? So if time is defined by the pace of thought, someone asked a very interesting question in science, and I forgot the book I read many years back. What is a pace? What is the speed of time? How do you define that? Speed of time. You can say 1 second by 1 second. Poor definition. But in Einstein's relativity theory, it's got meaning. Because to measure any speed, you must have the time. But speed of time, how do you measure? You can only do in a relative science. That is, this is related to that. See, when you throw something on the sky, if you throw a ball, the ball goes there and then does a curve and then comes down. Very unlikely to come back the same path, it just come down, curve down. So the Rishi of Einstein, the seer of Einstein thought, this object, the path of the object goes up and comes down. And it traverses space, it takes time, it comes down. The space and time married together and they get curved. The space and time, therefore, is one thing. It get curved, that means something is pulling it. What is pulling it? Then he applied the Newton's law, not the Newton's law, Newton's discovery, finding of nature. There is a gravity. Therefore, the gravity is the force that pulling this object. That means the object has got defined by its own space-time. So there were two problems comes in. One problem is gone. Space and time are not different. They are just one. The space-time is the object. That we need to understand. And it is being forced, pulled by something else, a force beyond that. Therefore, he went on to find out the gravitational force, and rest is history, and people are still trying to find out. The point I'm trying to say, space and time are tightly coupled. So when you, between the two thoughts, therefore I can say there is a space of time. So when there is no thought, what happens? When I'm able to have only one thought, what happens? Or I have no thought, what happens? I'll be timeless, spaceless. And this is the motivation for the yogis and everybody to go through the samadhi, that they can be in a position of thoughtlessness. Well, is that the Brahman? Well, it kind of takes you there. The moment they come out, and with enormous power, because your mind is now so pure, and whatever you say happens, you start flying in the air, walking in the water, the power comes to you for whatever reason, and then you get pulled down, because the Shakti, call it Maya, Shakti is telling you, you are trying to escape my beautiful net. To know me, to know yourself, I'm going to give you some bonus. Read minds, fly in the sky, have all this you want. Then you get enticed by this. I become a Siddhara, whatever. I show these magics around. I slowly come back to the ground. I forget about my pursuit of Brahman, Brahmajnanam. I become, for some time, a powerful human being or even a divine being, and then fall back flat on the earth again to start the journey again. The third important limitation of Anantam is Vastu Aparichinnaha. This is a little bit difficult to understand. Just be with me, you'll be fine. So we know time unlimited, space unlimited. We're just trying to understand the meaning of it. We haven't experienced it. We do not know yet. Although I say example of sleep and all this, you are not convinced. I'm not convinced. So we need to experience it. We'll park it somewhere, some stage. We'll go there. The third definition is objectivity. Vastu. What does it mean? So if I am here, and if this computer is here, an object, I am not the computer. So the definition of computer as an object limits me, because I cannot be that. So every object that is defined limits other objects. Otherwise, everything will be the same, isn't it? This particular Lakshanam has been taken in a great length. It's a tragic thing for it, because some of the Shankara's disciples who wrote Shankara's Bhashyam had used so many different words to confuse it, and therefore it provoked a lot of argument. And other Dvaitavadas took on it, and then they ripped it open. But we need to agree it in a very different way. Objectivity is about limiting an existence by form, name, time, and space. The moment you do that, the very definition is limiting it. And therefore, if there are two objects, they are not unlimited anymore, because there's a definition there. A book cannot be a computer. There are two different things. Here, Ananta means there is no objectivity, which means you cannot objectify it, which means you cannot say, put in a form or a name or anything. Right? Then what about my Ataram Maduram, I worship Lord in a form. Yes, that is the Lakshanam. Go ahead and do it. It's all very good to you because God wants you to look at Him like this. That's why He showed the Vishwarupa Darshanam. Look in any form. But there will be a time the postman is gone, the house is in front of you. Okay, so this is about Anantam. So let us now move on. You may have some questions, just keep the question in mind. So whenever we say Anantam, Anantam Brahma, Brahma means limitless in time, limitless in space, non-objectifiable. Same as Atma. What is the next one? We look at the first one. Satyam Brahma. We do Sat sometime, Satyam sometime. All the same. Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhave Sadbhave Sadicchetat Prajide Prashaste Karmani Tata. You can say good things, auspicious things, nice things, also Sat. Sat Sangam we say. Good people there. Sat Vishayam. So Sat is used for many, many good things. But here he means Sat as Satyam. Satyam is that Brahman, that Atma, that existence. Now, if you were to say in English, the good way of doing is pure existence. What is pure existence means? You go back to the Drishtandam. You have half a dozen examples in Vedanta, golden jewelry, snake on the rope, and things like that, mud pot. They are very good learning tools, but we should use it for the purpose of that context. So if I say, no, you see, when you describe anything, there is a computer. Book is there. Palamasti, Pushpamasti. In everything, there is an isness is there. The verb is used. In Tamil, you say, irukkirathu, vandirikkirathu, asti in India, you say, Sanskrit. That comes in there. So I have a book now. The book is here. I burned the book. Or I first turn the book, tear it into pieces. The book becomes the paper. Paper is there. Paper is. I burn the paper. The ashes. See, in all these things, book is, paper is, ashes. There is an isness coming along in everything. Existence is there in everything. But I can't say it's insane to say the paper as a book. It's not a book, it's a paper. Or if I say the ash and say this is the book, no, it is ash. But it was a book. So the being is always there, isness is there, but the name and the form, they are gone. So when you take any object in the world, you look at anything in front of you, of course you can look yourself. There is a name, there's a form, and there's an existence. If all these three are not there, you cannot conceive it. If you have a form and existence, for example, of course, name is given. The name is not there, you can't express it. How can you tell anybody? So name is needed. The name in existence is there, form is not there. Then the name assumes the form. Rupam means both name and form. And also smell. All senses. But there is no existence. The existence is there because, for example, you see me now. So how am I coming into your existence, into your consciousness? I go through your pupil of the eye, and then they get an image, invert an image, go to a retina, and that image is taken into the optical pulses become biochemical signals, bioelectric signals. It goes into your brain. It's an inverted image is now sitting in this. In fact, the right eye go to the left part of the brain, left eye vision go to the right part of the brain. It's a very convoluted signal processing happens. But that's not you see. You see me. You see me, you are not seeing what your brain is saying. You are seeing what your mind is saying. So a lot of things happening. So there is something which illumines you to see. So therefore, Satyam refers to the name, form, and existence. Here, the existence does not mean the empirical or temporal existence of the name or the form. Like I remember, I think it's one of these, Acharya was saying, lightly, so if you give a golden necklace, golden bangle, bring all this to here, I will bless this bangles and the thing, then you can take it back. But by the way, when you take it back, you take the bangle, a necklace, but not the gold. Can you do it? Because it's a golden bangle, there's a gold is there, there's a bangle is there. Can you leave the gold and take the bangle? No, because the bangle, the name, has nothing. It is a substantive part of existence. It's a gold. You can't take that away. So therefore, the Vachyartha is not good for our understanding here. Therefore, the Lakshyartha should be what is the existence at all status. So the name and the form, the Rupam, which is keep changing, what they don't have the Swatantra. They don't have the freedom to exist outside the gold. I can't take a golden bangle without the gold. Nothing there. Therefore, the name and the form of the golden bangle is possible only because it exists as a Nama Rupa in the substantive part of the existence, which is the gold. Same is a ring, the Odhyana, this armlets, whatever you want to call it, all the jewelry is of the same gold. So you can actually change the bangle and melt it and make into a chain. So this part is an effect. Karyam. Effect always changes. Effect did not have existence before, will not have existence after. What is not there before will not be in the future. It can be in the middle. So that kind of existence, we call it mithya. Where that which exists all the time is called sattva. Satyam or sattva. So therefore, when you say isness, the existence of any object is what is that remains unchanged in all its form. Is there one? I have a water. If I vaporize it, water is gone. There's no existence. No, it is become hydrogen and oxygen. Well, when I take hydrogen and I split into, yes, it becomes into the subatomic particles. So you keep on go through the karanam of it, you will find a non-negatable existence of it. That is sattva. So subtle, beyond subtlety. So that is what should be taken as the sat. We don't take the mithya. Therefore, when I say Satyam Brahma, Satyam Atma, that part of me, which has no form, immediately my physical body is gone. My subtle body is gone. no name. How can it be? In this world, everything has got a name. Everything can be named. Something that cannot be named is the Atma. The only name that we give is Aham, or even the word Atma. You cannot. In one of those great sloka, it says, Om Aham Padarthaya Shivaya Paramatmane. So the Shivam is nothing but the Aham Padartha. Same thing also in Vishnu Sahasranam, Egatma. So that consciousness, that existence, we'll talk about the consciousness in a minute, that existence, that which is undecaying, unchanging, always there, is Satyam. Why I say this? Because I cannot say this body because it is time limited, because it has to match with the Anantam. So what if the definition I give to Satyam should correlate and sit well with Anantam? Anantam is limitless, time unlimited. Therefore, the body is time limited. It perishes. We also gone through this most beautiful tool of Drishti Viveka. Drishti Viveka. Seeing and seer. We saw that very briefly. Anything that you can see, seen is different from the seer. So I can see, I see this, the car van standing outside my window, external world, I see it, the light is there. This is like Jagrata Avastha. I see everything outside. I close the curtain. Now I see the things inside my house. It's like seeing inside my mind. It's like dreaming, Swapna Avastha. And if I paint the whole room completely black, light, non-emitting surface, I see nothing. See, when I tell the name Balaji or something, you have to think of Balaji's name, figure. Anything apple comes in your mind. A form is needed to identify any existence. Sometimes name. But when you think of yourself, do you think of your face? Or think of your name? No. Swayam Prakasha. You don't have anything you need to know your existence. It's always there. No need of any Tadasalakshanam. I don't need to have a name. I don't need to have a form. I don't need external light. I don't need senses. I don't need intellect. You may say, what about people in coma? Well, the mind is in coma. The witness Sakshi is still there. So I am going to stop it here. I think it's a good timing. So we have gone through Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma as a Sutra Vakya. We took two tool sets that we need to look at the Lakshana Vakya. And we should take the Lakshyartha, not the Vakyartha. And we took Anantam and identified that space unlimited, time unlimited, objectivity unlimited is Brahman. Sort of the same thing I can see. The deep sleep is an example for me. I am timeless, diseaseless. Even if you have disease, cancer, yeah, fine. When you sleep, there's no cancer. No man, woman. It's an amazing thing that where you are, the best example of nirvana you get is in deep sleep. But unfortunately, we're not aware in our conscious mind. And how do we transcend that? That is the purpose of Vedanta. Then we applied that objective constraint to Satyam definition. We saw Satyam as a Nama Rupa Sata. The Nama Rupa do not comply with the Anantam definition. They are time limited, space limited, objectivity limited, mithya. Therefore, we discard them. Therefore, Brahman or Atma is Satyam. That's why Satsangam means not only the good people you are with your own Atma. So do not ever worry that, when there is nobody is there for the Sunday class, I am alone, I am bored, television is not giving me interesting thing. You can still be in your satsang because you be with your Atma. You start realizing that you are that nameless, formless, timeless, spaceless, objectiveless, nirguna, nishkalanga, shuddha buddha nuddha, Atma. Let me stop there. Om Tat Sat. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Maybe someone can recite, maybe Balaji or someone can recite the Upanishad.
Okay. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya.
Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya.
Tamaso ma
Ma Jyotirgamaya.
Mrityorma Amritangamaya.
nityo
Pratyuma
mamam
Amritangamaya.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om
Om Shanti Shanti.
Sorry for my interrupt.